mind, looking for a dime. James Locke in the house, gonna help you shine.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Poole Locke YouTube channel. I'm James Locke. Today we're going to answer some of the Ask James questions of the day. First question is from Gary. He says, James, I'm within about 3 years of retirement, but my financial advisor says we don't need to make any changes in my portfolio. I'm a little worried about this strategy. Gary, I can tell you that you're a smart man and you should be just a bit worried because, again, if you're 3 years out and your advisor is saying that there are not significant changes that have to be made, that's a red flag. My best guess is that your advisor is using something called the withdrawal strategy to try and engineer income. What do I mean by that? Well, there's an equation that's existed in the financial services world forever. And again, in the 50s, 60s, most of the 70s, financial advisors adhered to this. And it's the equation of total return, right? Total return equals income plus growth. Or as I like to say, TR equals I plus G. The income comes from interest and dividends, things that can get paid out to you in your retirement. Or if you're not retired, you can choose to reinvest to buy more shares. And of course, growth is essentially capital appreciation, where you buy something at one price and it appreciates in value to another price. Well, early on, right, in your early years, right, when you're working and you're accumulating money, you want total return. You want to make money on your money. You don't care whether it comes from the I or the G. You don't care if it comes from income or from growth. You just want your account to go up every year, and it can go up through reinvested income just as it can from growth, capital appreciation. But now that you're getting close to retirement, all of a sudden it's a whole different deal. Why? Because you can't spend growth. Please make no bones about it. You cannot spend growth in retirement. The only way to spend growth is to sell shares, cross your fingers and toes, and hope that it grows back. And my suspicion is that your financial advisor has that mindset. He's going to try to engineer income for you by selling shares every year, spending your principal, and hope that he does a good enough job that it grows back. Well, I'm here to tell you that hope is not a financial strategy. When you're approaching retirement, the stakes are entirely different than they were during your accumulation years. You need predictable, reliable income streams that don't depend on market timing or the hope that share prices will recover after you've been forced to sell. So if he's not recommending any major shifts to focus on an income first, growth second approach, focusing on the I first with the G second, then it might be time to shop around and at least interview other advisors. Look for someone who understands that transitioning from accumulation to distribution is one of the most critical phases of your financial life and requires a fundamental shift in strategy, not just because not business as usual. Okay, great question. If you have a question you would like to send in, like Gary did, you can do so. You can email it to poollocke@poollocke.com. Moving on to our second question. This is from Thomas. He says, I'm retired, but my financial advisor is relying on spending one bucket of money first, then another bucket of money later. Is that a good strategy? All right, Thomas, well, as I've said before, right, I was just talking about it, the concept of engineering income through withdrawals and hoping that it grows back takes many different flavors, right? So for some advisors, it's simply having you in a traditional, what we call a 60-40 portfolio, where 60% of it is stocks, 40% of bonds or bond funds. And you just take systematic withdrawals, and that's backed up with some sort of mathematics called Monte Carlo analysis, which basically says that, hey, 90-95% of the time, you're not gonna run out of money, providing that you stay within certain limits of how much you can withdraw. The problem with that, though, is that it means there's a 5 or 10% chance that you might run out of money. And Thomas, I don't know about you, but when we're talking about your life savings and your retirement security, I don't think those are odds anyone should be comfortable taking. So what your advisor has done is your advisor has done, maybe a slightly better, different approach to the withdrawal method. What it sounds like he or she has done is, these buckets of money approach, where they take 3 or 4 different buckets over the course of your lifetime, and you spend down one bucket, then you go to the next bucket, then you go to the next, the third bucket, and maybe you even have a 4th bucket. And the idea is the longer term buckets have more risk or more volatility, while the shorter term buckets are more conservative. But don't kid yourself. No matter what's happening here is they're hoping that those later buckets grow enough to replace what you've spent down in the earlier buckets. So if right now, let's say you're on bucket number 1, the hope is that bucket number 2 and then 3 will have enough gain or capital appreciation to make up for what you're spending down in bucket number 1. So again, it's a slightly more sophisticated, maybe a slightly sexier kind of withdrawal approach, but it's still a withdrawal strategy at its core. And like I always say on these videos, the reality is the only way that you can securely get income from your portfolio is if your advisor generates enough interest and dividends, enough income. Like when I always talk about rental analogies, right? Enough interest and dividends after the fee that the advisor changes to satisfy, or the fee that the advisor charges to satisfy your income needs. So why is that the only secure way? Simply because think about it. If you're not touching principal, then, let me ask you, can you ever really run out of money, right? If you're not taking principal in the first place, the answer is no. When you live off the income your investments generate, the dividends, the interest payments, your principal remains intact and continues to work for you. That's the fundamental difference between an income-first strategy and a withdrawal-based approach. No matter how sophisticated it might sound, one protects your principal while the other slowly erodes it, hoping the markets cooperate with your timeline. Thanks for great questions today. And as always, if you would like to send in your question, I encourage you to do so. You can email them to us at poollocke@poollocke.com. And if you like what you heard, go ahead, like and subscribe to our channel. I'm James Locke, your retirement income source, and I'll see you next time.
Money on my mind, looking for a dime. James Locke in the house, gonna help you shine. Retirement is near, don't you live in fear. Listen up, my friend, let me make it clear. Savings in the